Saskatoon native and Edmonton Elks offensive lineman Brett Boyko joins us. Your career has so many twists and turns. Yeah. So how about we go to the beginning? How did you start playing football growing up in Saskatchewan?
So growing up in Saskatoon. So my brother started playing. I always had an interest in football. It was something that, it was obviously I have passionate family members about, football, Saskatchewan and stuff like that. So my dad was a big fan, and obviously, I grew up that way. So when my older brother, I played touch football, and then my older brother played tackle football, and so I joined his team. So I was one of the younger ones playing, and that's kind of when so 10 years old, I started playing tackle football. Kind of fell in love with it, and just kind of away it went. I played defensive end predominantly. Then I got to high school, played linebacker, and then defensive end, and then actually my senior year I was quarterback. And it's just kind of once I was playing, you watch all the movies of the football movies, and you want that life and everything like that. So I wanted to go down south and try and play big time college ball. And I remember going into my senior year, I got a letter from the University of Iowa, and being from Saskatoon, I never knew anybody who's got that, or never knew what to do with that. So then I talked to somebody, and they told me to make a highlight tape. But by the time I got the highlight tape done, it was my senior year was over, and all my senior clips were on there. So I was kind of a little bit behind the eight ball, and fortunately had UNLV reach out, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Were you a Riders fan as a kid?
I grew up a Riders fan. Yeah.
Who was your favorite Rider?
My favorite Rider, so I love Jackie Mitchell, linebacker. Yeah, I grew up a defensive guy, so I liked Jackie Mitchell. He was my favorite. But we used to go to training camps in Saskatchewan. My family is big time Rider fans, so they're Elks fans now. So, but yeah, we used to go to games. We were season ticket holders and stuff like that. So,
were there any moments at games that you went to that stuck out when you were young?
Gosh, not overly, just I'd probably say like moments of just like my family cheering and stuff like that, but overall like moments I wouldn't be able to tell you too many.
You talked about being a defensive guy, and then you were a quarterback your senior year. You go to UNLV, play offensive line there. How did that transition happen?
Well, so I played quarterback. I loved quarterback. That was, I say I'm a defensive guy, but quarterback was what I always wanted to play. It's just, I was bigger than everybody, so they put me on defense. So when I got that opportunity to play quarterback, it was like, okay, I want to play quarterback and see if I can do it. But obviously I still wanted to play down south, and I put enough faith in myself that whatever I was going to do, I wanted to play pro football. And so when I was going through the recruiting process, it was a lot of O-line talks. I was kind of recruited as a big athlete, but I kind of knew what was happening when I was going down there. So it was just a challenge and an opportunity that I kind of put on myself, and I was like, I'll figure it out. Because I will say, my first year at UNLV, I was the worst football player ever. I really do stand by that. I feel like I tell people, when I talk to people, I say, I'm a pretty good athlete, could do a lot of things, but when I switched offensive line, I was terrible. So it took some time, and it worked out. But yeah, it was a rough start.
You use the words worst and terrible, but then you end up in the NFL. How did you get better so quickly?
Yeah, it was just a process. I think it was really just diving in and understanding the position. Football people know, like offensive line, it's a very technical position. There's a lot of moving pieces, and you got to work together, but also understand the assignment. And so it was kind of learning the game, and I guess learning the whys of every play, and kind of understanding that just kind of helped me. And then obviously it's just reps, right? The more reps you do, the more you'll be able to pick it up. So yeah, it was a fun process, and I'm obviously grateful for UNLV and the opportunity that Bobby Houck and the staff gave me there.
What was it like for you, considering, I'm assuming your dreams as a kid were to play for the Riders and win a Grey Cup, but you go to UNLV and then you end up in the NFL. Did you ever even dream about playing in the NFL when you were young?
Yeah, growing up, I don't think I watched, my first NFL. I know my first NFL Super Bowl was in the year 2000. So, but yeah, growing up for that, until then, and even after that, it was all just CFL. I wanted to play, professionally in the CFL if I could. And then kind of once I got to college, and once I started kind of figuring out the position, I was kind of like, okay, you know what, maybe there's a chance. We're playing big schools, Wisconsin and West Virginia, stuff like that. So I was like, maybe there's an opportunity here. And then it was kind of, it switched, and it was like, okay, NFL or bust. I feel like I can do it, and I want to do it. And fortunately for me, I got the opportunity, and unfortunately, had some kind of injuries that kind of took it away. But that's the business of football, and I'm very grateful for how everything kind of worked out.
What was it like to go through the NFL draft process? Like, I remember covering you at the NFL Combine. I think that was in 2015?
Yeah, 2015,
right?
yeah.
And then just being in the buildings, in the meetings, preparing for games and actually playing games in the NFL. Like, what was all of that like for a kid from
Saskatoon? I think a whirlwind. I think, and I had some really good teammates, and, I ended up signing with Philadelphia. So I was hurt. I got hurt my last game in college football, which was a bummer. I remember I had 50 people from Saskatchewan come down to watch me on my senior night, and I got a brutal injury in the first quarter. So that kind of obviously dampened the mood and kind of put some worry and doubt into what was going to happen next. But was able to bounce back and get an opportunity to sign with the Eagles. And, obviously Jeff Stoutland, O-line coach, still there. Lane Johnson was kind of a mentor to me while I was there. And I had like Jason Kelsey, Jason Peters. So there's a lot of like guys who really kind of took me under their wing in terms of O-line play. And you just see what they do, right? Like, I tell young guys all the time, find your routine, find someone, see what they do that they're successful at, and kind of mimic it, understand kind of the way they go about being a pro. And that was kind of my approach to everything. And so I was fortunate to have those guys. And I mean, the amount of knowledge I've gained, and then you go from there to, the Chargers, where you're playing with guys and quarterbacks like Phillip Rivers, and you're just seeing a whole new kind of perspective of the game. And, it's taught me so much along the way.
What was it like to play for the Eagles? It just seems like that franchise has such a passionate following. Philadelphia is a big-time sports city.
Yeah.
How was it for you?
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, when you look at the because I had other options. When you look at it, and you think of Philadelphia, like, I mean, shoot, they had like 3 Hall of Famers on that offensive line. So my chances of really making it there weren't great. Maybe it wasn't the best choice.
You could have been the next Hall of Famer.
Yeah, maybe. But like, you look, Lane Johnson's still playing now at an elite level. So, but no, it was awesome. I mean, obviously Jeff Stoutland is arguably one of the best offensive line coaches, of all time, and so he taught me a lot. He was just a great man, great teacher. And, it was just, it was one of those things where you go to a fan base like that. I mean, even for me, they knew who I was, when you'd walk around, and it was cool to see that side of it. And obviously you see just what, was invested in these players, and from, strength staff, nutrition, everything, you see it's kind of, the top of the top. Right. And so when you have an organization that's backing you so much, you understand why they're so successful.
You had an unfortunate injury with the Chargers. I believe you tore your calf in 2018, and it took you a while to get healthy. And I think a lot of people around Saskatchewan, probably honestly that are CFL fans, perhaps even NFL fans, were wondering that year in 2022 when you were off, what was happening. But that was actually your own decision. Yeah.
So I had, it didn't work out here in Saskatchewan, and so I was kind of, my daughter was born, and my wife and I were just kind of figuring out what's next. And obviously I was healthy, but not, to where I would have liked to have been. And it was just one of those things where we were just like, okay, let's walk away kind of on our own terms and start figuring out what's life after football. Because at that point, obviously, there was some injuries, like I told you before, like 2018, you tear the calf, 2019, you got the knee and the ankle you're playing through, and you're not putting out good film either. You're just trying to kind of survive at that point. And 2020, no season, 2021, kind of went through this weird illness, right? So you overcome that all, and, you kind of want to keep playing, but at the same point, it just wasn't in the cards. So I stepped away, and as the season kind of continued, I was getting calls, to come back. But at that point, the decision was made, and then, kind of you get healthy again, and the body starts feeling good, and you really miss the brotherhood. I will say that when you're done playing football, that's, I'm sure most guys would say that, the brotherhood and the locker room and all that stuff, it carries a weight. And so when you're not around that, it does stink a little bit. So obviously missing that, being healthy, and then my agent called me and said, this XFL team wants you. Do you want to come do it? And I said, sure. And got there on a Thursday, played 70 snaps on a Saturday, and just, all the love and everything came back. So once that season finished, I was like, I got a lot more ball left, so let's figure out an opportunity to come back up here. And I was glad it was Edmonton, and it's all worked out so far.
You mentioned brotherhood. You had a couple of your fellow offensive linemen in here. telling me that you're getting fined for doing this interview.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Who was in here and what's the details behind this?
That's downhill Phil Grahovac and David Beard. So they're on me like a hawk. So Mike must have told them that I was doing this or something. So so they had to snipe a few pictures. But no, we got a really good group. We got a fun group, and you know, we enjoy playing with each other, you know, on the football field, and yeah, we have a lot of fun.
What's it like for a kid from Saskatoon who had a stint with the Riders, as you mentioned, to come back here and play at Mosaic Stadium, packed house? You said you've converted some of the people around you to Elks fans.
Yeah, some of them.
And all the rest that goes with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. I mean, for me, honestly, the best part is that, you know, my family and friends get to come out and watch. So, you know, after this, I got a buddy, you know, going to see my pal the Rig and hang out with his family. So, yeah, it's nice for all my family to come watch a game, because it's not always easy to go to travel to other places. And so that's the best part about playing here is getting to see everybody.
I hope you're shaking down Beard and Grahovac for tickets to give to all the
I had to.
friends.
Yeah, I had to. Yeah, you know, I was lucky that actually there's a wedding in the family, so some people couldn't, or else I'd be struggling to get the amount of tickets that I need. So
if you need help next time, let me know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Thanks for the time, Brett.
Awesome.
Good to see you.
Thank you.